The pandemic has moved those meetings online, but parents still can't press that record button. They'll only have their notes and the IEP document to review how their child should be progressing. But since the pandemic started, they've had to move the cold cots into the cafeteria, where they can properly space out everybody that's sleeping and maintain social distancing. He praised the state government's work to fight the virus with a balanced approach, but he made little mention of the state's COVID-19 vaccination plan. That's under updated restrictions that start on Friday. Mayor Brian Treese says restrictions can start to roll back because cases are down.
A CPS spokesperson says the tests will help the district control the virus, but it won't solve the problem.
Each candidate offered a significantly different message. Parson focused on the Missouri economy, while Galloway spoke about Parson's handling of the pandemic. Students I talked to today worried about the message of the tombstone and the school's added security sends.
Missouri currently ranks dead last among states in the vaccination rate of citizens. House Bill 228 would let parents record their child's IEP or 504 meetings. It's the same legislation that passed in the House last session but ran out of time in the Senate. Michelle Roboto is a board member for Missouri Disability Empowerment. She says the individualized education plan and 504 meetings set goals and accommodations for special needs students.
Everything about that child's education is around that IEP. So they're both extremely important documents.
The meetings can take up to 6 hours to complete and can have more than a dozen teachers and specialists present. The Department of Elementary and Secondary Education says over 132,000 students required IEP meetings last year, about 14% of the student population.
The pandemic has moved those meetings online, but parents still can't press that record button. They'll only have their notes and the IEP document to review how their child should be progressing.
Tara Arnett schedules IEP meetings for her son Logan, who has autism. Logan attends in-person class right now because he is nonverbal. Arnett says having an IEP recording would help her son's new teacher as he moved into middle school this semester.
She could look back and say, okay, what were we doing last year? Because his teacher from last year may not remember.
She says a recording would contain valuable conversations about how her son is doing in school and at home.
Those conversations don't make it to the document. They happen and they help guide the document.
Arnett says she's hopeful HB 228 will pass in the spring.
CPS says it supports a statewide law. Most CPS parents can't record those meetings, but I did find a workaround while researching this story. Only those with a disability under the ADA can record, if they request that at least 3 days before the meeting. The parents and officials I talked to want to see the bill pass so every parent can have that opportunity. In the newsroom, John Jenco, KMU8 News.
Columbia police are shown detaining Jerica Owens last Friday night, just after 7 p.m. Jacqueline Watts arrived in a car with James McDaniel Jr. and Owens just minutes before. Watts starts filming on Facebook Live after Owens is put in handcuffs and struggles with officers.
They pulled the girl's hair out. It's in the street, still.
One of the officers notices something off camera, which prompts Officer Sean Claypool to point his gun at McDaniel. Watts says she didn't see what McDaniel was doing.
I was trying to keep up with what was going on with her.
Officer Claypool indicates that he saw McDaniel reaching into the car.
You just put the gun out on me, bro. Because you're reaching in the car, man. Bro, I don't know.
Claypool keeps the gun pointed at McDaniel for almost 30 seconds. Watts says she feared someone was going to get hurt.
I didn't know if he was going to be shot or I was going to be shot, or if both of us were going to be shot.
The police department said in a press release that Owens was the suspect in an assault investigation involving a gun. The release says Owens resisted arrest. The press release does not mention the officer pulling out his weapon. Officers said they searched the car after the incident and found no firearm. Watts says she did not know Owens was under investigation, which led to confusion after Owens was detained. Watts thinks the officers should have better communicated the situation.
Talking to people goes a long way. Not going in with their guns drawn goes a long way.
Owens was charged with third-degree assault and resisting arrest. In Columbia,